Hey Brady, and community at large. This is Lester Corona Strolling Bones. It's early in the morning. I just finished recording one video for Samwise 7, and I figured I'd continue on while I'm in the mood and I have a chance here. I apologize for any lack of audio quality. It's past the witching hour, well past the witching hour, and just before our son Lucifer, peeks his head out over the horizon again. So I'm being relatively quiet as my lady fair is sleeping upstairs. So the audio quality may be weak, but I have provided some entertainment in the background. This is a response for a really awesome video that you made that I intended to make for Tanner regarding knowledge-based skills. I absolutely love how you addressed this and the way you went about proposing your points. You pretty much touched on everything that I wanted to say, and I just felt like making a video response because it feels a little more personal, and you can get a little more inflection in the message than as opposed to text-based comments. If you hear any weird sounds in the background, it's my girlfriend's cat, Toby. He's an adorable half Siamese gray cat, kind of looks like a koala. He's adorable. He's my best friend in the whole world. But anyway, touching on knowledge-based skills, I was surprised, actually. I never thought I'd be surprised by that. I know people who've never taken knowledge-based skills before in games, and who've thought maybe, well, not for me, not for my character, but I've never known anybody to think that they are useless completely to the point that you would remove them from a game system. However, I think he's changed his point. I've had some good chats with him. He's a really creative guy. I enjoy it. The stuff he writes. He rambles a lot like me, so I enjoy listening to him. But I was thinking hard, and I liked where you were going with the elemental kind of the elemental explanation, rock and water, and earth, air, fire, and water. How you were trying to express you tried to use your knowledge, your world-based knowledge, to show an example firsthand how a knowledge-based skill is used, or how it could be used. And I couldn't have described it better myself. Not to say that I'm some almighty creator of ideas or anything like that, but I couldn't have said it better when you talked about how it's like rolling the dice every time you try to recall information. I mean, if you're like me, which I'm getting the feeling that you are, you're really you're almost consumed by a thirst for knowledge. I think it's in my Piscean nature. It goes up and down like this. Sometimes I'm highly inquisitive, and other times I'm insular, and I don't want any new information as I kind of cocoon or sit on the new knowledge and like bask in it or soak in it, I guess, to give the water relation, I guess, or the water example. But I really liked how you showed that you actually went out of your way to, in a real world sense, express or show as an example the use of a knowledge-based skill, and I thought that was great. I'm a huge proponent of it. Inevitably, every one of my characters ends up having knowledge-based skills. I'm intending on playing a scholarly character in a game of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay if I manage to, depending on the stable of guys we get together for remote play. I would absolutely adore the chance to play a scholar type character, start out as a student, plug my way through all the different knowledge available to me. I mean, I've already have quite a vast working knowledge of the world of Warhammer, and access to tons of different books and resources to give me those skills. So like, I see where he's coming from, where Tanner's coming from, that is, when he talks about the clunky, unrealistic nature of, I roll my d20 and I roll my nature lore skill. So in the case of fantasy roleplay, I roll my pool of dice for my nature lore skill. I'm attempting to forage for berries, or I'm attempting to recall if a specific plant is poisonous or not. That's a better example. I roll the dice, racking my mind for that information, and I succeed. But me as a player have no idea of what, even remotely, of what kind of vegetation there is in this world, or what different types of plants may or may not be poisonous. But that shouldn't penalize the character that the player wishes to play. Just because the player doesn't have the desire or means with which to gather this information, they should still be allowed to play a character who has this information available to them. Because regardless, there's going to be, like, you're not going to be able to fulfill every role. I mean, I'm a big guy. I've been in fights before. I know how to handle myself in a physical sense, but I'm by no means strong. I'm really skinny. I'm more nimble than strong, and more intellectual than physical anyway. But I do have basic skills in defending myself. It comes with the territory of being picked on by being different all the time. You know, people want to fell the giant to prove their worth or whatever. It's ridiculous. But in real life, I spent most of my time, which in essence is your experience points. As you advance in life, you gain, metaphorically speaking, experience points, and those reflect time. That is time. You spend those time points to gather skills. You know, if you swim a lot, you're going to be a good swimmer. If you read a lot, you're going to be a good reader. So I can express that as a character and as a GM a lot easier, but I understand that that's not the capability of everybody. Not everybody has been in a fight before, so not everybody's going to know how to portray a fight. Like you said, when you roll the dice, you don't just say, I got an 18, I hit. That's not proactive gaming. You say, you know, I make several vertical slashes and a horizontal slash, trying to break his guard, and finally I connect with a blow across his shoulder, bringing him to his knees, or whatever. You know, like Warhammer is really fluid for that, because it's quick calculations for the math to get that out of the way, because it's about storytelling and role playing, not about mathematical formulae, if you will. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I understand where he's coming from, Tanner, when he says it's disjointed and weird and not realistic for me to have my players roll dice for knowledge checks and then I give them the information from my mouth. There's many ways around this. You touched on one: writing notes, maybe talking to them earlier, maybe giving them a piece of paper with broad knowledge that all characters would know, and then specific knowledge for the specific character types. But the way I handle it is, I'm the narrator, so for me to explain to the rest of the party what the player knows, if he's willing to give that information to the rest of the players, isn't a problem to me. With me saying that and encouraging players to recall that information, maybe note it down so they can utilize it later, I can give them bonuses to their rolls and things along those lines, encouraging that kind of play, if you will. And I am so baffled. I love the fact that Tanner made that video, because, like you, I love when people have vastly differing points of view from me, because I'm a firm believer in the philosophy that of to each his own. Or I have a lyric in a song that goes, no more misguided faith, just belief in each and every way, kind of saying that nobody knows anything for certainty, so you're better off to believe in the possibilities of everything than specifying necessarily your spiritual or worldly beliefs. But anyway, I should start making philosophy videos, because that's something that really interests me as well. I just want to say to you that I really like your video. I mean, you don't have very many up right now, but we've had a chance to chat over Skype, and it's been pretty good, a pretty good experience for me. So I really like your take on the knowledge-based skills. I'm glad that Tanner has kind of come around a little bit. I love utilizing knowledge-based skills in games. I find it's a way to immerse my players in the story more. Giving them a little onus is sometimes a good thing, though. I love having players who are willing to do homework. I don't think it's that taxing or unfair to expect your players to read these awesome stories, which are all, especially in Warhammer, are all based on real life things. There's actually, you can go in and research real life metaphysical ideals, real life religion, all sorts of things, and it's just archetypes, and they're written into the Warhammer world. It's really easy to fall into that world and to make it believable by having a broad set of real world knowledge. All the specialist stuff, all the specific flavorful stuff is fun to read, in my opinion. So it's nice to have players who will take that onus and learn it themselves, for sure, and that definitely leads to an element of realism behind the knowledge-based skills. However, I mean, how realistic should it be when you're living in a world or playing and your mind is existing in a world where, guys throw fireballs and priestesses pray to their goddess, and the clouds turn into doves and rain blessings down on the populace, on the mortals. I mean, really, it's funny to me, or like people swinging swords at each other, especially when most players, I'm going to say 99% of role players, have never wielded an actual sword or weapon in their life. Maybe played with a dagger or knife before, but few of them have any martial skill to speak of. So it's funny that is fine, and that's totally fine and dandy to spend your points on combat-related abilities, because most role-playing games, D&D especially, is geared as a war game, just scaled into a more specific instance where the character takes center stage as opposed to vast blocks of troops. But D&D is a combat game with small bits of skill resolution built into it, and then role-playing pretty much being up to those who want to delve more deeply into the story, which is what I like. I prefer that. But I just find it funny that combat skills so passe. I mean, everybody's going to take a combat skill at one point in their role-playing career. But like I said, most people have no clue what it is to be in battle. So the idea that's any less unrealistic than the GM, like if the GM explaining or the narrator explaining an attack or an attempt to slash an opponent is any more unrealistic than the GM explaining that a character has a specific amount of knowledge about a specific subject available to them is ludicrous to me. But I'm not trying to start any fights. I really like Tanner's points of view, so it's refreshing, and he's creative. That's a good thing. But yeah, man, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I'm going to be making more videos. I really hope that you enjoy this. You get something out of it too. I got a lot out of your video. I was pretty much on the same wavelength. Been trying to make a video for that for a couple weeks, but I've had several different things get in the way. So anytime you're on Skype and want to chat, any other videos you make, I'll more than likely respond to. Keep gaming. Enjoy the workaday world, buddy. Later.